just going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review the 7th album by rapper Kanye West. Basically, this project is called The Life of Pablo, and it came out in the winter of 2016. Now, this is a particular kind of gargantuan album here within the pitches behind it. Originally, this was a Tidal exclusive, which was Jay-Z's streaming service as far as this pitch can happen. So I remember the product about this particular album, but I just did not get around to listening to it back in the days, just between like the controversy of Kanye West in 2016 is the concept between there were some folks. It was kind of a polarizing type project in retrospect, kind of paying attention to it just because there were folks that liked it, felt like Kanye was back on his ish as far as those pitches kind of happen. But there's also the concept of what he was going through, just the typical kind of controversial Kanye. This was another year for Kanye within those aspects. He did eventually have to get hospitalized because of a meltdown that he had at the end of 2016 as far as those aspects going to happen. It was just the tone that he had a particularly large 2016, but the concept about it was it was a particular kind of controversial and large 2016, but it was within the pitch that it just did not. It was just kind of more off to the wayside within the pitch behind it. So I originally did not know his full bound. It took place just a little bit longer to get it. Like it was like seemingly like a Tidal exclusive for a bit as far as this pitch can happen, but just the tone. This was obviously this is post Taylor Swift bickering Kanye West as far as this pitch can happen, and I don't mean by that like he still bickers with Taylor Swift, but just within he still does have that current bicker with Taylor Swift as far as those aspects can happen, but just within certain stations, it comes with the concept that you'll get kind of the concept where some radio stations and pitches like that do not pick up Kanye West probably past about like 2007 or 2008, the graduation and 808s and Heartbreak era Kanye West. So it's just within the pitch. So this is another factory one from Kanye West that did a lot of damage, has some songs on here. This is a pretty popular album according to Spotify, has some pitches about it that just has several songs with over 200 million plays, pitches like that, doing Travis Scott, Kendrick, and Drake numbers as far as those aspects going to happen. Basically like a second win kind of primary Kanye as far as those pitches going to go, but just on top of that, it just is not quite as current within the aspect as far as saying, not to say it's not current, but just within the tone as far as like just getting like those commercial singles that were seemingly a part of the radio. So it's just the pitch. You have like folks that are kind of hung up on like the Kanye West that was before like the Taylor Swift, and you think of songs like Gold Digger and The Good Life and like RoboCop, some of those type pitches just before those particular type issues. But then you look after it, like you really never hear songs by Kanye West like New Slaves or songs from Yeezus, some of those type ones. I mean, Yeezus was kind of a minimalist type album within the pitch, but then you think about it, that Cruel Summer really didn't get that much popularity either. And this is not super frequent to hear songs like Power and All of the Lights from like the 2010 album most notably either. But those were all big deals. Kanye West in the 2010s, every album was kind of a mammoth album within those pitches, just kind of a concept that was kind of like museum art as far as this pitch can go. Just the consistency of it just being a big deal, but it just dealt with the context as far as saying that it just was kind of a dichotomy of that just because it just was not as ubiquitous if you didn't catch some of this just within the tone. You had to know the places where to look as far as aspects of where it kind of was being displayed as far as this pitch kind of went. It was this kind of concept with Kanye being a controversial type figure. Some folks, he just had a love it or hate it type personality. But I look after it, this is a classic here. Just from what I mean, I have not listened to this album prior. It's been out for almost 10 years, but I look within the pitch that I just did not pay attention to it just within the pitch. I was always wanting to kind of question if I was going to hear some songs from this off the radio and just kind of get towards it. But that particular affability just never really came around within those particular type pitches. And I just look after it. I wanted to. It's not like I didn't. I was always kind of wondering why I was just not hearing Kanye West on the radio. I was always waiting to kind of hear like these next big radio songs from Kanye West as far as those pitches kind of went just within the tone. Like I do remember promotion from Cruel Summer, but that's really the most recent Kanye West project I can think of where it seemed like he was at least halfway being promoted within a relative type sense. I mean, to a certain extent, I also remember Watch the Throne, songs like Niggas in Paris, some of those type of ones, and like Go Ham, or I think it's Ham, one of those type of songs. The couple of singles that were off of Watch the Throne was just within the pitch. It just kind of felt here and there within the pitch behind it. But yeah, it's another mammoth type one. Like I've said in the past that Yeezus from 2013 is definitely like a classic within the pitch behind it. That is a pretty blistering type album. Originally with that one being minimalist, you would think it wasn't just because of the promotion, but this New Slaves, Black Skinhead, or New Slaves, Black Skinhead, some of those type hits. That was a very tumultuous type project just within the pitch of having very good social pizzazz and just some outing type fairs that just really made it like a litty kind of social nightlife. But this particular project has a lot of trendiness about it. This one just has the aspect of just being able to have this particular product brings back the Kanye West from like the backpacker era, but just does it over like current kind of mid 2010s trap anthems. So it's just within the pitch that it kind of like Kanye for a number of times now, when people say that they miss the old Kanye, he brings it back oftenly enough. I mean, within the pitch behind it, may not have been on Yeezus, but it was on 2018's Ye, and it is on this particular album. The college dropout Kanye in like the backpacker type format. It's the same Kanye that's kind of on here in a vanilla type sense. This is more vanilla trap. When you think of Future having a little bit more raw and rugged type appeal, Kanye West has some of these particular type trap anthems on here as far as that pitch kind of goes. This rips apart within the IG Living type fare. The pitch is behind that, but this is in a more kind of factory and more blue collar type sense with the pitch behind this a little bit more work mill. There's good aspect to kind of get that because there weren't terribly many trap albums that kind of had just more like I would almost say like I originally thought that not too many folks really did trap music and tried to make it more blue collar within the sense of just particularly going about it. It was always kind of more hustlers makeshift within the tone behind it. I mean, it had makeshift songs, but just within pitch as far as something that if these are just people that just work at like Target or Staples, some of those type places just within the tone, just has a little bit more day to day within it. But I look after just within the concept as far as those pitch kind of goes. It's a good factory type album. It has a lot of good moments on here as far as those aspects can happen just with like the varieties that it brings. It has a lot of cleverness about it. There's a lot of good cleverness about it. Just the social aspects about this particular product are pretty high on here. It's not quite as feral compared to like Yeezus. I do feel like that album's a little bit more Friday, Thursday type turn up within the pitch behind it, but this is definitely some good appeals. It does have a number of joints on here, and it nails particular styles differently. Like there's some moments on here that do have like some morning kind of brush, some pitches like that. It's kind of a mildly wintry type album within a pitch behind it. It does have some of those type moments of just like the day shift of just like a mellow kind of Target or Starbucks type, grind within the pitch behind it, just sitting in line at the drive-thru getting coffee, some of those type pitches, standard outs, standard day push, just flames in mind with pitches like that as far as those aspects kind of having just a good type tone, but it does have some taste of some other things on here. It just has a lot of multi-spread type ones. This is an example of Kanye just being able to stack up these particular albums and just be able to get towards it. Like these, I feel like this particular album is as good as like the Graduation trilogy, you know, for folks who remember those. College Dropout, Graduation, Late Registration, some of those type ones. It just does it in a more trendy type format. So it's just the same pitch as far as getting that. So that's a good tone about that. The singles on here it's these are strange ones. We'll get to like it's not necessarily strange, but it's just kind of the concept that it's just a new taste of Kanye compared to what he was doing around the time. But it just kind of feels like another thing to kind of say about that in particular is just the fact that 2010s trap is kind of something I feel like within certain senses is kind of an acquired taste. It's kind of the concept that it seems like it has the aspect when you think of folks that just try to promote it, like Future's kind of polarizing within a certain sense, and Yo Gotti, some of those type folks, Meek Mill, some of these type folks in particular, is just kind of certain folks like just when you think normally I mean Eminem was kind of back and forth with that as well, and folks like 50 Cent and Eminem were kind of back and forth with that as well, but at least when you thought of like Get Rich or Die Trying by 50 Cent, you realized that was a rap classic, and it's the same thing with Marshall Mathers LP and albums like that, Kanye West, College Dropout within some of these type hits. This kind of concept, it just takes a little bit more of like digging to kind of get folks to kind of commit to like the concept of new era 2010s Kanye Ford being more of like a classic person that pumps these out in the pitch. But there were some publications that said, Paste apparently said that they felt like this was one of the 300 greatest albums of all time, which is some good type of appeal. I mean, I'll go ahead and say this album's going to get a 10 out of 10. It's another classic for Kanye as far as those pitch can go. He basically nailed it, but we'll get towards that. This review is going to wind up being like a 30-40 minute review if I don't hurry along with it, because there are a good several songs in here, so let's get towards this. So Famous is the lead single off this project. It's like a glaring kind of icy out in the wind commerce kind of get here, just a piercing get shit done and a nice productive rumination. I had to say about this particular song, it slaps pretty well just within pitch behind. So it's basically just like a wintry type one, good concept, some of that type fare, just the pitch behind, just kind of more, it's kind of in a more productive type sense as far as those aspects going to happen. Just really like the particular, it's almost like a paranoia type song. There's some of that appeal, like typical folks, like when you think of Tupac or Future, some of those type folks that will kind of do that particular fare of just a little bit kind of looking over your shoulder type pitch just behind it, but just the aspect of just kind of that look over your shoulderness just within the aspects behind it, but just within the tone of like a more kind of icy type brush about it. So basically it would seem like something like Death Around the Corner by Tupac, obviously 20 something years later within the pitch, but just the aspect of being able to nail that particular vibe, some of those type pitches kind of within it. Good, does it within a relative kind of day shift fashion just within the pitch behind it, but just really icy of a song, I'd have to say. I do like that Paranoia about that one. Good perspective for Kanye as far as those pitch kind of. I'm going to actually look and see as to how popular the song was. I mean, apparently it hit the top 35 of the Billboard, but I don't know. It just feels like you can still argue that the promotion seems kind of off the wayside considering what it did. But Father Stretched My Hands is the second single. It's another one that kind of is here and there within the pitch. I like the promotion, but it is another nice song. Basically, out of the 15 songs in this album, I wound up recommending all 15. So it's just the pitch behind. So that's just to know about that. But Father Stretched My Hands like a trap gospel, kind of some jovial rumination, just on the scene like a brushy day shift fun kind of pitch behind it. And this a workaday type one. So it's just within the pitch. It is something. Kind of feels like something that Chance the Rapper was kind of doing with this coloring book type project. Just within the pitch. It just like yeah, it's just basically like some winter day shift as far as those pitches kind of go. Just standard kind of frolic, just target runs, pitches like that. Some of those type pitches just within it, going to Staples, some of those type places. A standard kind of blue collar type push and like a more kind of pedestrian type sense. Do you like the aspect behind it? Just necessary songs for us. Those pitches kind of go very workday within the field behind this shopping mall, strip mall typeness kind of get. Just in a more kind of gospel type sense. Fade is a nice one. This is probably one of the best songs out the album, I'd have to say, in my opinion. Definitely appreciate this one. You know, I definitely say that Fade is one of the best songs out the album, I'd have to say. This is like a nice ratchet bounce kind of get here, just good foot tap and like a retro saloon kind of sense I'd have to say about this one. Just get around a drinks pitch like that, just litty as hell. I would definitely feel like about this one. It kind of feels like the Lil Pump collab that Kanye West did with him on his 2019 album Harvard Dropouts, just within the pitch. Forget what that particular song is called, but I think that particular Lil Pump and Kanye West song was called I Love It, something like that. But it's a good type pitch. This particular song came out a couple of years before that, so it's just within the pitch, just having like a real ratchet type song kind of get within that pitch. It's real nice, good bounce about this particular one. It's pretty much this takes Kanye West. This is like an interesting type song just within the contemporariness of it, because this feels like a little bit past like the ratchet movement that DJ Mustard had 2014, 2015, but just within the pitch, it just being like a good contemporary type one, and just getting Kanye on the dance floor after probably ways since it's been that he really did that. And I feel like Click was kind of a good song for that. Niggas in Paris was a good one for that from 2011. Niggas in Paris was a good one for that, and Click from Cruel Summer was a good one for that, but just within the pitch, it's not super common that you get songs from Kanye West nowadays, like Gold Digger and some of those type ones from back in those days, so it's a good type pitch, kind of get this. This is real nice. This just has some immediate kind of Friday factor and a good one to cut loose to, so it's a good type tone. But yeah, I just look after. I mean, this album is good, but it's just kind of more known for the controversy more so than the actual aspect of like how vicious the music is kind of is. But it's just kind of within the concept as far as I think this album kind of was a big deal. It just depends upon who you're talking to or what angle you look at it from. Because within the pitch, you know, Kanye West with like the polarizing type stuff that kind of goes along with this is kind of the aspect that it just takes a little bit more digging to get those conversations out as far as saying, well, he's controversial, but is the music good? And it's just kind of the pitch when you narrow it down to saying Kanye West as a musician, it actually is some pretty vicious stuff here as far as saying that. So it's just kind of the tone. Even in 2016, he was doing that. So it's just the pitch behind saying that this actually is a classic here. So I recommend all 15 of the songs. And just to say, there's actually 20 songs on here, but there's a couple songs like Silver Surfer Intermission is like more of a skit, and Low Lights is more of a skit. So that's two skits. And then Frank's Track, which is kind of like a pseudo song, but it's just kind of more in like an interlude type format. And then, like, there's another one on here, like, I Love Kanye is just kind of a skit talking about folks that like the old Kanye, some of those type pitches. Then Ultralight Beam is kind of like a pseudo skit. Ultralight Beam is kind of like a pseudo skit slash pseudo song, and I'd say, but just kind of like some dreary kind of gospel type music, pretty similar to Father Stretched My Hands, but just pulled it off in a worse variation of that. So that's just within pitch. But I'm not going to count that particular song. I would say some dope type stuff to kind of get like a pseudo kind of Frank Ocean verse, at least on Frank's track, just within the pitch behind it. But basically, yeah, this album gets a 10 out of 10. Recommend all the songs on here that are actually songs beyond this Ultralight Beam, I'd have to say. So just go down the list with some of these. Basically, Waves is a nice one on here. It's like an out in the wind kind of brisk. Waves like an out in the wind kind of brisk brunch commute to kind of get here. Just a peppy kind of day shift activity, I'd say. Just radio ready, definitely. And it just feels like an underappreciated kind of Kanye West song within the pitch. Now, once again, according to Spotify, I think it did have over 200 million plays. So you could question what I mean by over. Yeah, it actually has over 480 million plays, so you could question what I mean by underappreciated, but just within the context of just the concept that Kanye just kind of gets a bad rep nowadays within the pitch, but it is a good type song to some, kind of Target type music, just a more wintry type pitch behind this real brisk type song within some of those type fares. Goes pretty well with Father Stretched My Hands and Famous, some of those type ones I would say. Not quite as paranoid as Famous, but just a jovial type one for like some morning commute. I'd say highlights is a nice one. This goes well. This goes pretty well with Faded. I'd say it's like a jumping kind of basic dance groove to kind of get here. Just the vanilla kind of 2010s trap. I'd feel like about this particular one is taking like something that has like the thump and bass of like a Future song and just putting it in like a more vanilla type format, something for a little bit more. It's like a good coworker friendly type. It's like some good coworker friendly kind of ratchet music. In other words, what I mean within that particular tone is just an overall hot one. So it's just within pitch. Do you like some of these dance songs from Kanye as far as this fair is going to happen? Glad for that sort of aspect as far as nailing those some good type appeals. FML for my lady is a nice one as well. It's like a morning kind of in between commute to kind of get here. Just a lazy kind of brushy day I would feel like. Just typical kind of work a day push I'd had to say. Early kind of day shift activity fun within those aspects. So this kind of a pitch behind this one just feels like something that Bryson Tiller, some of those type folks, Party Next Door, some of those type folks in particular would kind of do, just kind of in between type moments. Probably a good song to just smoke like a zigzag just in like the winter era as far as those pitches kind of happen, just within the pitch behind it. I mean, obviously not to get stoned behind the wheel, but just within the pitch, if you do have like some morning push to kind of get to, just within the aspect, and you do have like some smoke, it's just some in between moments to kind of kill within those pitches, just something like that, getting like some morning McDonald's or breakfast, breakfast, getting some morning McDonald's, some breakfast meals, and pitches like that, just in the aspect, just kind of in between kind of conduit type moments in a more brunch type fashion, good type tone for that. Freestyle 4, really like this one. It's pretty haunting type ones, like a creeping and a gas kind of trap terror to kind of get within these aspects. There's some nice vehicle thump about this one, and definitely reminds of like a demonized kind of Tupac run as far as those pitches gonna go. Just basically Kanye just with a little bit more feralness in his voice pitches like that is kind of the tone of something Tupac would have done with like a song like Hail Mary or something like that, or Ambitions as a writer. Is some of that demonized typeness, just the aspect a little bit more is kind of horrorcore type sound. So it's a good pitch for that. Another one that's pretty similar to that, but is not quite as terror as much full bound, I'd have to say, is Wolves. It's like a night shift kind of rumination kind of get here. This kind of reminds me of something that Hobson would kind of do, just in a more commercial type tint. I'd have to say about this particular one. It's like a nice kind of haunting trap auto tune to get within those aspects. So just good type pitch for that. So this basically has the feel of like 2016, 2015 trap, just within the sense of a little bit more something that like Tech 9 Hobson will kind of do within some of those type pitches. So it just has that horrorcore type feel and a more trap sense. Blends those pretty well. Part 2 is a nice one. This good type song here is like a gnarly kind of mixtape trap kind of get blitz. Definitely about this song. I say this reminds me of like early 2010s typical. This definitely reminds me of like early 2010s typical kind of IG stunt night. I'd have to say here, and just like and just definitely like some trendy new times as far as this pitch kind of goes. So there is like some minor kind of mixtape drill about this product. There's at least one other song that's kind of like that. I'm trying to remember which one it is. I think it's actually Fax that's like this as well. So just some mild reminders of like the early 2010s type fare within those pitches, just Future, Rick Ross, some of those type folks in particular, some of those type pitches. But it's a good type aspect kind of get some of these type here, just kind of blurring like 2010, 2011 trap with like more 2015, 2016 trap as far as that particularly get towards it. Just an initial kind of IG kickoff type one, interesting aspect, kind of have Kanye West and some of these type ones. He actually has good ferocity about this particular product. It's more kind of Kanye West, kind of, it's a more ferocious bite from Kanye this time compared to like when you think of Yeezus. Yeezus was just more of a party album. It's just within a pitch compared to like this is just not backpacker as much full bound. I mean, it definitely has the aspects of some backpack type vibes. It just has a good day life and a good night life. It's just within the pitch that has the product of like work a day, also within the concept of like some 2010s trap type bubblers like within Future and Yo Gotti, some of those type folks. So it does that particular day shift, night shift, some of those type pitches, nails it pretty well. Real Friends is a quality one as well. It's like a blurry kind of social rumination kind of get here. It just reminds me of like a Big Sean song. I definitely would feel like it's a good city hop and weaving type song kind of get, just snack run type stuff and day push as far as those aspects going to go. Just something that just feels like some time to kill, just in like a more kind of traditional type aspect to like some city fare as far as those pitches going to go. It's basically, it feels like something Mac Miller, Big Sean, some of those type folks would have done. Good type fare. Another real vicious type one kind of get on here. Another thing about this particular product, I could list some of the guests on here, but it's just kind of within the pitch as far as saying that Wikipedia does not really list the guests. It doesn't say like featuring Kendrick Lamar and featuring like Rihanna and some of those type folks as far as this pitch can go. So you have to kind of know in particular and just have more off of memory as far as this pitch can happen. But this does have like a good, pretty assortment of songs. I do at least know that No More Parties in LA has a Kendrick verse on here. This is pretty a vicious type one. It's like a jazzy kind of penthouse and rich kind of white collar pizzazz kind of get about this particular song. Just a nice ritzy groove about this one. I definitely feel like it's a good dance shift type song kind of get within it. So just concept of this good dance night within a fashion, maybe a little bit coworker friendly with just more white collar type fare within the pitch. Just just definitely like the ritziness about this particular song. It's kind of the aspect of just like a more just more graceful grooves as far as those aspects can go. But it definitely is a song to get tore up to. It's not like you're just drinking like, oh, I would say like champagne and then just kind of sitting down and then just work jokes as far as those pitch can have. It just has the tone of really having like some viciousness about it. So this within concept, I do like that particular appeal about it. And Fax is a nice one as well. It's like a stark kind of heavy trap noise turn up to kind of get within those aspects. Definitely reminds of like Future and Rick Ross Rilers that I'd say within that particular pair. Just a raw stunt night I'd have to say, and this has a pretty vicious burn about it. So just some good type tones for some of these type ones. I do like the trap type factor about this product. This blends these particular lines pretty well. I mean, I do feel like it's vanilla compared to the craziness factor that Future particularly gets to, and Yo Gotti, some of those type folks that were doing that back in 2016. But in like a vanilla type sense, in terms of something that's going to be coworker friendly, that you would probably, if you do like just the concept of having like your more Starbucks type friends and Panera Bread type friends within a pitch, just in the concept of having your more Starbucks and Panera Bread type friends within a concept of it. This is some good banter for that relative aspect for as far as those pitch can go. So good type feralness within those tones, good concepts for some of those. I think I haven't talked about 30 Hours. I think I'm running out of songs I haven't talked about, but 30 Hours is like a blurry kind of vintage workout plan Kanye West, like a quicker commerce kind of get here. Good concept for that. It's like a productive kind of missed day shift slag as far as this pitch kind of goes. So this is definitely one for vehicle centric. This is definitely a good one for some vehicle centric type commerce within the pitch behind as far as those pitch kind of go. Just the conduct of this, having like some lengthy travels or just some relative aspects of just getting some stuff done with like a quick fashion about it. Just day shift slag within the fair as far as those aspects kind of go along with it. Just kind of I do like the kind of auto tune on this particular song. It does remind me of like Kanye from Workout Plan, just not quite as like more exercise and just more kind of sarcastic, kind of just ladies type pitch within it. But it is a good type concept for some of those type fairs. It is some Traverse in mind, and I don't think I've talked about Feedback either. I think this is the last one. So Feedback is like a scratchy kind of morning rattled kind of get within those senses. This trap round of breakfast. It's like a 2010s trap round of breakfast, hop to grind. It has to say within those aspects. This reminds me of like Ye's Day Shift Outs as far as this pitch kind of happen. By Ye, I mean the 2018 album Ye as far as those pitch kind of go. But it's just a couple years before that as far as those pitch going to happen. Maybe this is a song that had that inspiration in mind from it. But just then the pitch, yeah, it's just a basic uppity type one to kind of get in like some brunch type comedy. Just then the pitch behind it. Just once again some further kind of Target and Panera Bread type commerce just within the pitch behind it. So good type fare for that. Just some brushy type songs going to get within some of that wintry push as far as those aspects going to go. So good type tone for some of that type fare. Good concept. Some more some of the coworker type ones kind of get within those pitches. Then I look after Saint Pablo is a nice one as well. So this I really appreciate this song pretty well. It's probably one of my more favorite ones on here. I particularly like the super haunting feel at the beginning of this particular song. They should have kept that piano type fare throughout the song, I had to say. But this has a nice beat sample on here. I think it's from like Angels by Dirty Money. It's a good type pitch. Real good song by Puff Daddy as far as this pitch kind of go. It's like a nice tempo for some shredding lyrics about this particular one. This song is definitely a burner as far as this pitch kind of happens. So this one is just a real concentrated type one. This hits the aspect of it extremely high. Just the viciousness. This has some real feralness about this particular song. Good aspects about that one. So it's a little bit more less reliant on like trap type fashions. So just like the bass and the thump and some of that type of loominess and the auto tune, some of those type pitches. But it just does it in a more traditional type fashion from like Cruel Summer and like 2000s Kanye West, I would say, but it just does it in a more kind of gas type sense. So I do like some of the gasness on this project. Some songs like Wolves and Saint Pablo and like Freestyle 4, some of those type pitch does have like a mildly kind of haunting sense, which is different for Kanye within the pitch behind it. Just some of that type fair, so it nails some of these. But so yeah, once again, this album gets a 10 out of 10 within the pitch behind it. The social score I'll probably give maybe like a 9.75. I mean, the impact of it is definitely 10 out of 10. Just the blistering type appeal of it, just all these hit songs, the quality styles, blending like coworker life and like a more kind of traditional kind of does a great job of blending like blue collar life in a more traditional type day shift type fashion, especially in like the winter time. I'd have to say with like the concept of like some good night rumblers as far as this pitch can go. Definitely harnesses Future, Rick Ross, some of those type folks. It's more kind of feral trap boilers within the pitch behind it, and it also has some haunting aspects about it as well on here. And plus some white collar joints and pitches like that, some good type fare for some of these aspects, and good ladies type songs within like the in between type moments and just day push as far as this pitch kind of goes. So good type tone, shopping mall music, night shift, dance club type music. Actually, some pretty good dance burners on here, pitches like that. So I would say only reason why it doesn't get a 10 out of 10 is just because the polarizing concept that it just kind of deals with the concept as to how popular Kanye is, just with the aspect of how many folks fuck with it and whether or not your local areas are going to pick him up just within the pitch of what they think of him. So it's just within the pitch as far as things. That's why it's a 9.75. Other than that, it'd probably be a 10 out of 10. In terms of the future, like Kanye West is working on a project. He has a project coming out called Bully as far as those aspects can happen. I think there was also like There's like an album that like Vultures Volume 3 is supposed to be coming out within those pitches, but then it kind of seems like within recent controversy that's been going on with Kanye West that Ty Dolla $ign is kind of somewhat distancing himself from Kanye. We'll have to see what happens with that, but some excellent type pitches kind of get this here. I have to see about some of these type ones, so there's some Kanye West on the way within some of those type fairs, but this is a classic here and definitely should be appreciated within the pitch. Just the concept, just ignoring like the more verbal Kanye and paying attention to the concept of that. And this is like another stock classic, just like Yeezus, just like Cruel Summer, just like Watch the Throne, some of those type ones. 2010's Kanye was definitely pretty fierce.